Hello, welcome to my video and my channel. In this video today we'll be making a plastic bag holder, and I'm here just cutting my fabric now, and then we'll get into the dimensions and everything now. Okay, I've cut my piece of fabric here. It's 18 inches wide, it's approximately 46 centimeters, and also at 22 inches long, which is approximately 56 centimeters. First step is to overlock across the top and the bottom only. So let's go do that. Okay, I'm here at my overlocker. Like I said, I'm just going to do the top and the bottom straight off. So straight across the bottom. Okay, so the next thing to do is fold down the top about 2 centimeters. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you want, you can measure. This is going to be where our pull string is going to be threaded through. So I'm just going to do approximately 2 centimeters across and just give it a quick press. And then we're going to take our pair of scissors. We're going to just snip in on both sides here about 1 centimeter. You could mark it 1 centimeter with a pen and then snip in to the line. I'm just guessing, roughly 1 centimeter, like so. Then you want to fold this part back like that on both sides and give it a quick press. And this side. And we'll take this over to the machine now, because what we're going to do, I might just fix it up because I've ironed the crease out now. And here is, we're going to fold this out. I'm just going to sew down here and down here. And then this becomes our nice casing. Okay, so until I can get better camera angle for you, this is how it's got to be. So we have it opened up like that. I'm just going to sew down there. Now I'm sewing it. Oh, I thought I lost the thread then. I didn't. All right, so I'm sewing it pretty close to the raw edge there. It doesn't really matter. I'm just backstitch at the beginning and the end. We'll do the other side now. Here we go. Some backstitch. I forget which machine I'm on sometimes. I go for the back thing. This one doesn't have it. All right, so that just gives that a nice finish on the end here. So the next part will be to fold this down and then sew across, and that's going to make the casing there. Okay, so as long as you sew it somewhere within the overlocked part, that's fine. There's no set rule. It's just you have to do your back stitching at the beginning to lock your stitches in place, and then just go, oh, oops, sorry about that. Go all the way across. I mean, this machine has automatic lock stitch, so it just does it for me and cuts my threads for me, which I love. Okay, there we go. So that's the top done. Okay, so after sewing across the top to create the casing for the rope, we then want to fold in half long ways, matching up the sides. So from the top here down to the bottom, like that. And then we want to sew down the 1 centimeter seam allowance. So that's the 1 centimeter where we have cut in here. That's going to be our seam allowance. So we're going to go down from there. So place in there. We do a back stitch, of course, that locks our stitches in. Okay, just make sure my fabric's all straight, and then off I go. And I have this piece of tape here set at 1 centimetre. It's hard being in Australia and everything, or mostly sewing, whatever is in Imperial. So I do a bit of both. I work in both, just a necessity. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to go and then overlock this raw seam here. Okay, so I'm going to overlock down this raw edge. You can just use your zigzag on a regular domestic machine, or if you have an overlocker, I'd use the overlocker. Okay, there we go. That's it. Snip. That's a nice overlocked seam. Now the next part is creating the casing for your elastic, which is around the bottom. I like to iron it first. You don't have to. It's just really folding it up, sewing it around. So we'll go back to the sewing machine. Okay, so I just quickly went and ironed it. It can be 1.5 to 2 centimeters here. I'm putting in a 3/8 inch, see, back to 3/8 inch elastic in mine. You can put any size you want, so you can make it smaller if you've got smaller elastic, bigger for bigger, whatever you want to do. It's versatile in that way. So the only thing is you've got to leave a gap for threading your elastic through. So I'm going to leave my gap where the join is here, but I'm going to sew it from the top like so. So I've got a little mark there. That's a 1.5. I'm just going to use that as my guide. So I do a little bit of a back stitch there, and then just sew, moving this around as I go. And this is an industrial machine, but this can be made easily on any domestic machine. So this is where I've started. I'm just going to leave a gap, I don't know, about 3 centimeters there, and finish it off at the end because I don't want these to open up here while I'm putting the elastic through. Okay, for the elastic for the bottom, I usually just, whatever it is, plus about an inch will be perfect, like that. I always pin when I'm threading because I always lose it inside, and then I get angry because I didn't pin it. So I have learnt to pin to whatever it is I'm working on. So I'll need 2 pins. And then I always also look at the way my seams are going, and I go with the seam because sometimes if you're coming back this way, it'll get stuck on the seam and you have trouble getting it back through. So if you just always go with your seam, you should never have that problem. Okay, so just going to you just gather it around, pushing it up, pull it through, gather it up, pull it through, all the way around. Let me come to the end. And then come out of the hole. Oh, I've got my pin in the way. I think it's not going to let me. I've done it too close. That'd be right. All right. There we go. So I can come up to my hole and come out like that. And then I will just pull it. So then I've got my 2 pieces here. I'll take my pins out. Okay. You can pull that as tight as you want for now. And then I'm going to grab the two ends, just overlap them. I suppose it's about 2 centimeters, just under an inch maybe. And then I just put it under my machine and do a back stitch, and then I'll go backwards and forwards a couple of times just to give it some strength. And it doesn't look like I'm sewing at the moment. Something's happened here, as these things do. I may have run out of bobbin. Yeah, looks like I've run out of bobbin. I'll just replace the bobbin. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back again. So put in the new bobbin, fold over my elastic. You can pin it or clip it if you feel you have to. I won't stay straight. I have that sometimes. Okay, underneath. Okay, do some back stitching, and this is just reinforcing, so it doesn't really matter how many times you go backwards and forwards. It's going to give it some strength. I don't want it to come undone. Finish that off. I'm going to have to snip these because it always happens when I put a new bobbin in. All right, so then you pull it back through. So that's your casing for your elastic, and then you need to sew up the hole that you left to put the elastic through. So I'll just do that. Snip your threads as you go. It's a lot easier if you do it as you go. I'm going to do it again from the top. Then, you know, when you finish your sewing, you don't want to have to go back and look at all of the, your threads and fix them up. You do it as you go. Your item's finished and it's finished. Okay, so then I just sew across where the hole was. Always doing back stitching. Excuse me, because you don't want your work to come undone. Okay, so that's that. Just gonna, well, this end here, what I usually do, okay, with the end here, this one's sewn in here, so it doesn't matter, but there is a chance that this may unravel. So I would snip it, need some new snips, I think. And then I take I use this for crochet. It's like I think they call them a darning needle, not really sure. It's got the bigger hole for the wool when you're doing crochet. And if you put it down through your sewing or your overlocking and pull, it just holds that thread in there, and then you can snip it. And if you want to be really safe, you can, put a couple of stitches over that, and that will just reinforce it again, not to come undone. And that's just in your seam allowance anyway, so that's not going to pull out, it's not going to unravel and weaken it. So pretty much it's finished. We'll turn it out. This is the exciting bit. Yay! That's that. Now we just need to go and get our, I never know what to call it, twine? I'm going to call it twine, to thread through. Okay, so the fun and final part of this tutorial is putting the twine, is that what we said? Rope. Okay. Now, what I do for this to get the right measurement is I just fold the bag flat, take the ropey bit that you're going to use. Now, I want to tie knots in there, so I'm just going to make it a bit longer than, it probably doesn't even have to be that long. So about that'll do. Okay, I'll cut my edge. I'm not fussed about all that bit there, but I will take a piece of tape and place it around one end like that. It just makes it easier to thread it through. You can use a bobbin. I'm going to use my pin again. So I'm just going to go inside the casing like that and just thread it through like we did before. It'll come out the other end of the casing there that we made nicely. Just pull it out quite evenly. Take the pin out and then, oops, a daisy. Cut off the tape, so we don't want the tape there anymore. Okay, take both ends. Probably cut that off. Be nicer. Okay, so both ends. I'm just going to roll it around, make our knot. Okay, got plenty of room there. Cinch it up. Okay, I've got some plastic bags here from my old one that I had. I actually just cracked it with it and threw it in the bin. I could have showed you how bad it was. But anyway, you just take your bags and squash them in the bottom like I do mostly, or you can put them in the top, which is I think what you're supposed to do. So here are all my plastic bags. I'm just going to shove them in there. A few more here. Okay, then I can pull it. And then when I need a bag, I can easily just get it from the bottom. And usually mine's hanging out beside my fridge, and then I'll just, if I get a bag, I just shove it in the bottom. I don't usually open the top. But it just depends on individuality and what you want. So that's mine. That's how I make it. And here is the finished product. Thanks for watching.